பிறகு நீ வந்து ஆரம்பிச்சு. You can start, pa.
Good evening, everybody. I'm myself Arvind from third year mechanical from Pratyusha Engineering College, and today I'm going to present an webinar on additive manufacturing. So let's go to the slides. So here's the chapter we are going to present first. First, I will talk more in detail what you can actually make using additive manufacturing and why it's so important. And then we will see some overview of AM processes. So before getting into the topic, let's see what industry is doing using this additive manufacturing. So we can see many examples of this importance based on the industry is doing with additive manufacturing. Especially general engineering company is manufacturing aeroplane models. That is, they print parts out of metals for the jet engines. Google is thinking about making cases for their mobile phones, and Nike, consumer product company, is making their shoe soles using additive manufacturing, and this technology is even used in the medical engineering fields, like creating the nerves of an human and placing it inside the body, and tooling for a false tool for humans, and not just in engineering and medical field. This is also this technology is even used in filming. This is an example. This is an Aston Martin DB57, which is used in the movie for stunts. So that's it. So let's go to the next slide. So when and where this technology was developed. Additive manufacturing technology was developed by Professor Ali Sachs and Michael Kaima of MIT in the year of 1990. So this is the first prototype model which was developed by them. Um, This involved building parts up layer by layer from a powder-based material, where the powder was glued together using an inkjet printing technology. Now, this is a small model of the Hagia Sophia, a famous landmark in Istanbul, Turkey. And you can see the fine level of detail they achieved, and also that the part of hollow internal cavity. That one of the hallmarks of the flexibility of 3D printing. And I mentioned so the immense flexibility in the geometry as well as the limitation in the resolution and level of detail in an importance attribute. Let's see when compared and contrast between the conventional manufacturing and additive manufacturing. So CM versus AM. CM is nothing but conventional manufacturing, which is a top-down process or a material removal process, and AM is nothing but a bottom-up process, material addition process. For example, for conventional manufacturing is milling, which we do using CNC machines. Today, all these processes take place together. Subscribe one key difference: machining, the material removal, which we might call as a top-down process. Here in CNC machining, we start with a bulk workpiece and we remove the material needed to create a final part. That contrasts the additive manufacturing. Um, Intrinsically a bottom-up process, we are able to build a material into free-form geometries into the parts that we want one layer at a time, and by adding material from the bottom up layer by layer, as seen in the simple desktop printer, which uses a polymer extrusion. We can build a great variety of geometries, and we generally don't have any tooling like we process in inkjet molding. So why it's a big deal now? After 30 years of its invention in 1930, and why it's coming under progress now in 2020. So the reason around this, there are many reasons. Reason including this the main reasons are listed out here. First, we now have wide access to CAD/CAM software and aided designing tools, and it lets us to create geometries of 3D printing. And we have improved automation and components technologies of 3D printing significantly over the past several years. And the cost has gone down. Mechanical components as well as things like lasers and the things which run lasers are of low cost. And the things which run laser, the printable material, the libraries which runs the laser, the back end of the laser operations are now growing up. And at last, in additive manufacturing industry, we are starting to see many material companies getting to the game because they now see a significant business potential. And we also have a major industry and government investments, and they want to encourage they encourage the growth of the industry because they see it's a big application. And we also see that there's more freedom to operate enabled due to the patent expiration. So let's get into the types of AM processes. So there are seven major AM process. Among them, the spectrum of additive manufacturing process is preparation of deep dive into the most common and significant ones. The first and the main one is the fused filament fabrication or fused deposition modeling, denoted by FDM or FFF. What's used in the majority of the desktop 3D printers, also in industrially. Most common process, it allows extrusion of thermoplastic, typically in the form of filament, in layer by layer, as seen in this video. Some parts are built from bottom up in a crude way like a glue gun, and it is motorized so it moves in 3D. Now this is used in the most desktop printers because the most accessible process and low cost. The feedstock and simple operating condition, but it's also used in industrially. Uh, and FDM can be adapted to a wide variety of thermoplastic, similar to those used in injection molding, and can be a commercial applications such as making ducts, rockets, aircraft. In fact, the Boeing, Airbus planes are planes has hundreds of parts made up of FDM process. So the next process and the most important one, and it is used in lots of automobile industries. So let's see what it's called as stereolithography. It's called a stereolithography or SLA. Uh, Stereolithography works by scanning a laser. So first the laser scan. Stereolithography Stereolithography works by scanning a laser across a bath of liquid material. The liquid material, what is called as a resin, and when it interacts with the laser, it cures to form each point in each layer. So I'll explain it in this video. The resin is inside this layer. First, the laser scans the design, which is feeded. After scanning, the mold comes out of the resin like an emerges from the resin. So this technology is widely used in automobile industry for creating prototypes of their car models or bike models of their automobile. Even the dashboards are even created using this technology. And even these types of structural things are created using this technology. The the third most common process is called a selective laser sintering or selective laser melting. It's similar to stereolithography in that it uses a scanning laser, but in this they use a much higher power laser for melting plastic or a metal powder, and the local melting is what creates each layer of a. So so this ma- th- this machine rapidly moves. So this machine rapidly moves by placing the powder among the surface, and the laser cuts over the surface, and again the machine applies a powder over that surface. After doing layer by layer, after finishing the layer comes down. So let's see that. Uh, after finishing the layer comes down. At last, it becomes a piles of layer. At last, it becomes a piles of layer, and the whole pile is removed, and the unwanted parts are removed, unwanted powders are removed, and we get the final product. So the main application of this SLM is it is used in dental medical industry, and it's also used in industrial tools and production tools, function parts that resist. It's also used to make parts which resist high pressure and high temperature. So the next process is material and binder jetting. First, we have a material and binder jetting, a general class of process that uses inkjet technology to deposit droplets of material locally. Inkjet is attractive because it's widely used printing technology, and it can parallelize depositor outlet in very short amount of time. In material jetting, the part is built by inkjet itself, and this is mainly used for polymers today. And in binder jetting, you deposit a binder to fuse a powder together, either plastic or metal. One of the main companies doing material jetting object, which is owned by Stratless, they have a process that can do multiple polymer material with different material mechanical properties and different colors. It's unique. And the capability of the industry at present, one of the binder jetting companies, one of their big business is making large parts for binder jetting, uh, and this method is used for making the components for sand casting in foundry department. So let's see the video first. Uh, First, the fuse powders used inside, and the inkjet applies it in the given dimension. So the inkjet now. So now the mold is finished, and it's sent into a furnace, because for foundry we need a very hard kind of structure. So it's sent into the furnace to heat it. So suppose if the technology if if it's not used for foundry, the so if it's not used for foundry, the remain. So in this, now the remaining parts of the powder is removed using a vacuum, and at last foundry is the components for foundry is obtained. So the last one, the next one is the laminated object manufacturing. So this is similar to uh, selective laser sintering. So in selective laser sintering, we use a powder material, but in laminated object manufacturing, we are using a laminated sheet. So, there is a laminated sheet over present here, and the laser is cutting the sheet in the required shape. After cutting the required shape, geometrical shape, the sheet just goes inside, and again the laser cuts the required shape. So the laser cuts this n number of times, and again it creates a piles of sheets, and all the piles are just fused together. So at last we get a piles of sheets, and the unwanted parts are removed first. And this is the required geometry. And direct energy deposition. So direct energy deposition is nothing but it's just like an injection, just like injecting. So so here we have a nozzle-like structure. In the center part, the laser gets ejected. In these two nozzles eject the uh, material which requires to fuse or it's called as a feedstock. These two nozzles produces the feedstock, and this laser is used to join those feedstocks into the required shape. So you could see that the feed is coming, and the laser is coming outside, and it's fused together. So you can use a laser to fuse typically a metal together and you the feed material locally. And when you want the build and the feedstock can be powder or as an optimistic process. So you could see that the feed is coming. This is also a bottom-up process. So about 7 different methods. It has its own Nike, and as an additive manufacturing industry grows, I don't think any of the process will necessarily go away, but we will see the process become more specialized and developed. Their own markets and their list of 7 process. It's actually official categorization of ASTN, the governing body which came up with the definition of additive manufacturing. So um, I have ranked the process from low energy to high energy. The low energy will be the SLA, and because it requires a the low energy will be the is, polymerization, and the higher energy will be direct energy deposition, or it's also called as powder bed fusion. These are the processes that are present used to print metals, and because you need a high energy to melt the 3D printing, melt the metals to 3D printing. Then you need to apply a lot of energy in the process. Because at present, I believe they are most important and significant process, and understanding them will let us get a greater appreciation for the process. So we all must appreciate that the printing process itself is only one step in the overall additive manufacturing sequence. In order to become a master, we need to know how to go from a 3D geometry to a finished part, which involves knowing the capability and limitations geometrically, how we design for 3D printing, and the process after printing, post processing, removing support materials, and finishing. And in certain cases, those additional steps after printing can be a significant fraction of cost that will be manufacturing apart, and could in some cases be more than the cost of 3D printing itself. So we have reached the conclusion. Uh, Now we have come to the conclusion of our discussion of additive manufacturing. Looking at our own four favorite process attributes: cost, uh, four favorite attributes: cost, rate, quality, flexibility. We can understand that large-scale manufacturing, all additive manufacturing techniques can't compete with the conventional process in terms of cost and rate and quality. However, for producing parts quickly or on demand, it's attractive to think of additive as a prototyping or an increasingly attractive low-volume product product process, of course. For flexibility, the opportunities are immense in terms of creating new material complex geometries, and the guise of short, quick production, reducing the design cycle by prototyping and making tool. Using additive technology now, also we can appreciate that the answer to these attributes are particularly additive technology is not a simple and a single point. One, for example, extrusion we saw can happen at a small scale, for large scale, for desktop FDM, for a big area additive manufacturing process that you can use a print large piece of tooling of turbine blades, manufacturing a piece of vehicle that have trade-offs. Um, Between rate and quality, and also trade-offs between rate and quality, cost, and we can think of excessive value that can be bought by 3D printing process. Maybe it will be itself it's expensive, more expensive than the alternative, but it can bring a value to the component, or a value to the accelerating or developing a testing cycle. So these are the challenges to accelerate AM. Now, there are many challenges that we must face and overcome to accelerate the adoption of additive manufacturing. This includes first design tool, data management tools to fully realize the potential of additive, to assist engineers in designing parts so they can take the advantage of the flexibility of additive, and to qualify the parts by taking data real time while printing is happening, and this will let us create parts with higher quality at faster rates and qualify components. So the conclusion is additive manufacturing is one of the component in the future digital infrastructure of manufacturing, and it involves not only 3D printing but in, im- improved robotics and automation, and accelerated the software and ability to gather and exchange data on this. Where 3D printing is only one piece of much larger puzzle that will influence the manufacturing in the future. So that's it for today's webinar. And I would like to thank my management and my department faculties for giving me such an opportunity to present a webinar among you. So thank you.